All right, so this is a big one, and I want to hear from you guys. I want your honest opinions. I want your true what you can actually relate to, right? And your opinion is fine. So here's the thing: what is your biggest challenge? So I'm going to talk specifically about nonprofits, but I want to encourage those who have a for-profit business, etc. I want to hear what is your biggest challenge when it comes to your own organization, your own business. All right. So I'm gonna share with you a few of the biggest concerns or biggest challenges that those who are leaders of nonprofits face, and let me know in the comment section if you agree or maybe if you disagree with this. If you think this is hogwash, or if you think this is the truest statement ever said. Okay. So number one, I think this is big for profit and nonprofit, at least from from what I've heard from those that I help and consult with, is funding. Funding. So from the lens of nonprofits say that funding is their biggest concern, right? Funding is their biggest concern, and so what many of them let me know is that funding, and many times, can feel like they're on a almost like a Ferris wheel, so to speak, where it can go up and down based on what's happening in external factors like the market, and then also what's happening in political factors as well. All right. The second thing that I hear most is compliance, making sure that the nonprofit is in compliance with not just the federal requirements, also with the IRS, and also with the state requirements. Certain states require you to have different or additional documentation based on a nonprofit status, and then additional filings with the IRS, et cetera, that can take place on a quarterly basis, annual basis, and semi-annual. The third thing that I hear the most, and kind of core acquiesce with number one, which is basically that of donor trust. Donor trust. Now, donor trust is pretty interesting because in order for someone to donate money, and we're not talking, $5 or $10, right? Most people want people to donate, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, for the nonprofit. And I want you guys to understand that certain educational institutions are considered nonprofit organizations. Very true. As a matter of fact, the NFL, the National Football League, believe it or not, whether you agree with it or not, that is a non-profit organization. The NFL, absolutely. So I remember chatting with a leader of a particular religious organization, and they had a really good following and had a great amount of donors. And what this leader let me know is that majority of their donors, it came from them being beneficiaries of life insurance policies. Can you believe that? Beneficiaries of life insurance policies. And what he shared with me of how that came about and how they kind of make that a part of the member cycle was amazing. And maybe I'll share that with you guys in another video. If you want me to share it with you, let me know in the comments. Number four is recruiting and retention. This is a big one for nonprofits that are in competitive spaces. So let's say your nonprofit is a nonprofit that offers education and technology. Let's say you guys kind of couple that together, right? And it may be difficult to find, let's say, software specialists that are willing to work for that nonprofit full time, because that same software specialist could work virtually, let's say at Meta, right, or LinkedIn as an organization, and they could be compensated, let's say, $1 million annually or $500,000 annually, whereas the particular nonprofit that they could work with full time may only be able to compensate them for a fraction of it. And so when this happens, the idea there is that you can retain that talent by helping them to see that they're providing more and more of a service for the greater good, having a greater impact, maybe not in the regards of compensation as in dollar for dollar, but maybe a greater impact when it comes to direct impact grassroots for local businesses and those entrepreneurs who may not have been able to access those same resources and technology anywhere else or however else, right? That's just an example. And the biggest thing that I see or that I hear from other nonprofits is community engagement. Community engagement. Um, Now, for civic organizations, this is not that big of an issue if the civic organization comes with some type of prestige. But for civic organizations or just nonprofits in general, where volunteers are not necessarily celebrated, it will become a huge issue to have that engagement with volunteers or community engagement, right? So let me know if you've ever dealt with any of these challenges in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And let me know if this is even aligned with your nonprofit. Now, if you have a for-profit company, which I'm sure many of you do, let me know in the comments what are the biggest struggles that for-profit companies have. I would love to hear from you. Talk to you guys soon.